Here we go. Touhou. Except it's not live. And you won't see reactions and stuff. And unlike UFO, I'll actually complete it because I know for sure. This is actually because it's a replay. Of course, it's gotta be finished if it's a replay. So hello, this is ReimuB. I don't make videos very often, but when I do, it's Touhou for some reason. Or Pokemon, whichever one comes first. Been a while since I put up a video. So while I shoot these enemies, by the way, for this first stage, all you need to do is shoot these enemies. It's not that hard. And for Cyrano, it's pretty much the same thing here. Cyrano, Silly Fairy, get a better life, get a better spell card. Actually, get a spell card first, then get a better spell card. Because on easy, Cyrano doesn't have a spell card. Just dodge in between the shots. And that's basically the entire purpose of this entire first level. Just dodge these very easy to dodge minuscule amount of shots while I talk about more important matters to me. So, I don't make videos very often. Actually, that was quite apparent. I probably won't make very many in the future. I won't really have that much chances for a long time. Just the way it is. The way time is. Time's funny like that. But I have like this free weekend to do this stuff. For once. So, you know, maybe a few videos. For sure I'm gonna get this done though. And then I'll be back to the hiatus. And here we go into the first boss. I didn't explain much about what you do in this game, but basically, you shoot, you press a button to focus and move slower, and get a different kind of attack. And you can press X to bomb and save your life. Go to the top quarter of the screen and you can collect all the items on the screen. Collect as many points as you can. It's that kind of game. Kind of game where you go for high scores. But you don't know how to get a higher score. Use less bombs, you get a higher score. Well, kinda. It kinda looks like that. Basically, the idea is to win these spell cards, and when you get a spell card, by not using a bomb or dying, you get a much higher score than if you don't, because if you don't, you automatically fail. There's also a time bonus, of course, so you want to get this done as quickly as possible as well. And that's how you get a higher score. Also by grazing shots and destroying shots, you get additions to the score multiplier, which you can see is at 10,890 and rising over to the right side of the screen, which is that blue thing over there. That's how many each of those blue things are worth. But really, for this first boss, because I haven't been saying much about this first boss, even for the spell cards and non-spell cards, you just dodge in between the shots. It's the least complex kind of thing you have to do in this game. And on easy, there's only this green wave here. And higher difficulties, there's more than just this green wave, making it harder to find the gap. But basically, for this first level, and on normal, you just dodge in between the gap. Easy peasy. And after that, we're gonna head right into the next stage for this 30-minute, half-hour long marathon of talking. Isn't it enjoyable? So, stage 2, well, even on easy, it's like on normal and on hard, this is where things will get a little bit more serious. Even on normal and easy, though, this is really kind of a cakewalk. So, to explain how this top line collection thing works, if there's enough of these point and power items on the screen and you collect items at the top, you get a bonus multiplier of all the items plus that multiplier. And it's added to your score. Plus you get a bomb fragment. It's always a bomb fragment unless it's your 5th bomb fragment, in which case it's a heart container. Or if the multiplier is times 2, it's also a heart container. I call it heart container even though it's not Legend of Zelda. Okay, for this boss, mid-boss, you just, these lines come around and you just kind of dodge them. These wisps are also here, but you can easily destroy them with your homing shots if you're not focused. Or you can just ignore them for the most part. They do fire shots at you, especially in cases like this, but again, this one's really easy to find the gaps. You mostly just have to worry that the red line doesn't head towards you in an unpredictable manner. But once it passes you, you can safely stand right next to the red line and be perfectly safe. Shots here are easy to dodge on easy. That's why it's easy. Here, on easy difficulty, these blue fairies shoot kind of like they do in normal difficulty, but it's even easier to dodge because instead of it being a straight line of blue shots, the shots move at different speeds, and there's only 2 of them, and you can dodge in between the hole if necessary. Also, in this difficulty, these blue shooters circle shooters only shoot in straight lines, they never shoot in a diagonal line, making it extremely easy to dodge. Yeah. These guys shoot shots that home in towards you, kinda, but once they've homed in for you for the short moment that they do, you don't have to worry about them anymore. So it's really, really not a big deal. Did I mention that if you collect 3, you just have to collect 3 heart fragments in order to get another life, and 8 bomb fragments to get another bomb. If you die, you automatically get reset to 3 bombs plus the amount of fragments you have left. So now Miss Mid-Boss has come back and it's time to fight her again. It's time for me to explain shit again. Yep, okay. So it's actually, again, this is easy difficulty. You don't really need much help with this boss. It's just like the mid-boss section. You have to dodge these red lines, except that instead of one big red line, there's a whole bunch of miniature ones. And just like the big one, you can just get in between, next to them after they formed, and you'll be perfectly fine. The second version is kind of a variant of that, where the head is forming that line that you have to dodge instead of her, as well as her firing 8 directional beams. The beams get tighter and more compact the higher the difficulty is, and the head starts firing shots on higher difficulties, I think. And here it's the same deal. More lines, this time being shot in a circular pattern, so it's easy to see. And as well as these red shots that home in towards where you were at the point when they start chasing you, but they don't follow you after that. Easy to dodge. That's how these first 2 stages are, really. In higher difficulties, this splits into more and more heads. I think in the higher difficulties there's 5 and 8. But they all shoot those 2 column shots, laser shots, as well as disperse these, and I died. Go figure. Point is, if you minute movements are enough to dodge those, you don't have to make major swings to dodge them, even in higher difficulties. It's just an idea of not dying. Alright, now this head is moving around and shooting directly at you at a fairly fast speed. Really, you need to focus less on the lines. I mean, you obviously need to focus on the lines, but focus less on the lines and more on the moving head to make sure that you are in a position where you can easily move away without running into a line. It's not that hard. It should be noted that you're able to bomb. If you're about to die and you notice that you're about to die, you can bomb at the same moment that you die, and you won't die and use the bomb instead. Also, when you use a bomb, all the collectibles head right toward you. So, if you're going for high scores, it's probably more optimal to use bombs in the middle of the stage, because that'll get you more of those card points that get you more blue score points. That makes perfect sense. Plus, it'll be easier to get all the point items, because you don't have to go up to the collection point. Though, if you don't go up to the collection point to collect them, you won't get a nifty bonus, because those those point cards are worth more if you're at the top and in the collection zone. Now, these fairies that are coming down shoot shots that do that, and if you're stupid, you might not be able to get out of it, but I did. Barely. Don't get trapped in the corner like that, in other words. And as those are forming, you want to stop focusing getting towards the top as often. In fact, this is around the time where you need to realize that going to the top of the screen all the time is not a good idea. Past speed probably doesn't understand this very well, but the premise is, if there's too many shots that you can't understand what's going on, don't head up towards the top. It's fairly simple. As for the non-spell card here, just dodge in between the shots. Higher difficulties, more shots, faster shots. It's actually really easy to dodge. Mid-boss here is really easy to dodge. And then the second non-spell card is pretty much the same deal, except instead of 2 barrages of random red shots, you get a line blue shot and then a barrage of red shots. By the way, I'm watching Twitch Plays Pokemon while I'm doing this. And if you have watched this after Twitch Plays Pokemon has passed, you probably have absolutely no idea what I'm fucking talking about. But they're facing Elite Four right now, and they're failing miserably. What can I say? While there's nothing else to do. Oh, by the way, the music here is awesome. And when you go to the mid-bosses in 60 frames per second instead of 57, 59 as it is when I'm filming this, you will usually arrive at the mid-boss right at the time when the mid-boss appears and the songs change. This is kind of a cool fact. Here, the fairies will begin to appear and shoot shots straight down. It shouldn't be a big deal if you kill them quickly, but if there's too many of them, it can become much harder to dodge the shots, especially if you don't have homing shots like ReimuB does. Really, it becomes much more dangerous either in a later stage or later in this stage, I can't remember. Either way, now, at this point, I think more of these fairies that are shooting these dispersal shots are gonna show up. And that's really dangerous. No shit. Oh wait, actually we got past that. Apparently I wasn't paying any attention, or it's in the next stage. So this boss is actually a werewolf. Go figure. And she's probably one of the harder ones to get used to. So the first non-spell card is much like the other non-spell card. The first non-spell card she used. Except there's these purple shots as well as the red shots. It's easy enough to dodge on easy. But then she goes into this werewolf thing. It goes in a triangle from center to the left to the right, or the other way around. Top, right, left, and the center. aka top. Basically just stick around the center and dodge the shots. I think the red shots head in your general direction, but really I can't tell so much. At higher difficulties, that's like impossible for me to dodge. Unfortunately, this is why I'm showing you an easy playthrough, because I suck at this game. I suck at paying attention to too many things at once, especially if it's from below me. That's when things get real. But when we get into this next spell card, I think this is the easiest spell card. Okay, it's the most unpredictable spell card. You need to dodge in between the holes, but the holes can be hard to see until they start actually going in their ways. But you should be able to see a hole and go through it quite easily. And if you don't, you may as well be saved by the get spell card bonus. Here, it's just blue, red, and the purple shots are all line shots. So you just follow the lines and dodge the other lines. Not very hard. It could be a lot harder, actually. Okay, this is the hardest one, I think. Yeah. She goes in more unpredictable ways, the shots head towards you, and then there's this purple barrage of shots. This is probably the easier part. Where you dodge all the purple mess, but if you go unfocused and you don't lose track of where the red spots are when she starts making them after the purple shots, you're practically doomed. So I think I'm about to get into an instance where you can bomb death. Well, actually, that was just me panicking. If you panic, you're allowed to bomb. Use your bombs, because every time you die, you get reset to 3 plus the amount of bomb fragments you have. Not too hard. Not too easy. I think, yeah, stage 4 is where things really start to get more difficult here. So these blue things make aim shots, laser shots towards you, and as there's more and more of them, it can be hard. You can become cornered by these lasers. So be extremely careful about it, as not to get cornered. In particular, don't sit still. Just make minute movements down or circle around them entirely, like make wide circles around them like this, where you're going around the top and edges of the screen to dodge them. Which is perfectly valid as long as you don't run into one of the circle shooters on your way back down, especially if your character can't shoot backwards with homing amulets. Like this one. The other advantage to Reimu, Reimu has a slightly smaller hitbox, Marissa has a lower collection line, and Sakia is mainly used for gaining points and high scores, because the item and power items, the score and power items don't fall as fast. In this section here, there's a whole bunch of fairies that shoot these downward shots like this. When you're ReimuB, there's always going to be openings in the middle left and right column to go through, if you keep shooting down the center. So go ahead and go slide through that, and you should be good. With other characters, there will be... I think I know for a fact that Marissa B has a clear opening through the center the entire time on easy. So... it's time for the mid-boss. This mid-boss and the boss are different depending on whether you picked to use the cursed weapon at the beginning, which is your A-type instead of your B-type. If you're B-type, you don't have that sacred weapon, you're kind of beating the game without it. I think that changes the ending, too. Of course, I'm not versed in Touhoism, so... it could not be. So, in this non-spell card, the orange electric bolts slow down as they get towards the edges of the screen, but the yellow ones just disperse in a circular, predictable pattern. So, it should be easy enough to dodge since you're combining slow with predictable. Alright, now the blue things are approaching, for the blue circle shooters, I call them, are approaching from the bottom and going up towards the center. And these shots are homing in towards your location, so you don't want to stay anywhere near the same spot, because you can easily become cornered. You want to make sweeping movements to the left, right, over, and around, either in a circular pattern or a U pattern, and dodge in between the homing shots, which home in on it's the home in for a second and then stop homing kind of deal. And then there's more of these laser guys that you want to make sure you don't get cornered. And now there's more of these fairies and these laser guys, you know, for ultimate dickery. The idea is these bigger fairies make these shots that go downward, much like the other fairies did in the middle of the stage. But if you don't kill them really quickly, I think they can do it multiple times. And I panicked and got cornered, so I had to bomb. Right in time to bomb for the boss to appear. So the boss changes, like I said, depending on whether you're using the A-type or the B-type. This is the B-type boss, so I'm afraid I can only help you with the B-type boss, because besides Marissa A, I haven't gotten this far in an A-type, and I already kind of forgot what the A-type does. So this sister, Tsukumo, I can't read it. Tsukumo basically starts with this non-spell card that's really easy to dodge. The musical notes head outwards. I think they also begin to head toward back in, and they sort of move kind of strangely, but just keep a close eye on them and you can see which way they're turning. And then here, this is probably the most complicated spell card, that you have to look for openings. If you want to keep damaging this person by being in front of them, you have to keep looking for openings in the way that she changes around the shots, and it's kind of hard to do, especially if you can't find an opening. If you stress out and you can't find an opening, you might have to bomb. This non-spell card is as simple as find the gap as stay close toward the bottom and look as they slow down for a gap and then go through the gap. As long as you keep heading underneath the boss, you shouldn't have to deal with any troubles. And now we deal with magical bouncing music notes. Thankfully on easy, the music notes don't bounce from the bottom of the screen. They only bounce from the left and right sides of the screen. So you don't have to worry about a note coming from below you. That said, you still have to worry about slipping in between the notes all the dang time as they go, and it can be hard to see notes coming from your left and right. Hopefully you don't need to die or bomb more than once, though. These notes become electric bolts, so this is probably one of the easiest non-spell cards, because they all turn into bolts that can be easily dodged as they all go straight down. You know, just head toward the boss and get ready for the spell card, which involves a lot of, oh my god, shots from below are like the bane of my existence, and some of the shots, music notes, turn around as they reach the top and head towards you. So you can't just go through a line, you have to you have to deal with all the music notes coming towards you too, and all the shots that she's shooting. So it can be easy to lose your orientation and get hit by these stray musical notes that you weren't even accounting for while going through the stream. But thankfully there's plenty of chances for openings in that stream, so it's rather forgiving. Again, major difference between easy and normal is that easy is easier for folks like me that absolutely have a very hard time and need to practice a lot more at Touhou before we can go to a normal no continue clear. So stage 5 is probably one of my favorites and my least favorite stage, for a lot of reasons. So here we're gonna start with the house being upside up, and then it's gonna, okay, we're upside down now. And that's kind of the idea. I think the stage is something along the lines of reverse ideology. Basically, it should show up. Yeah, right, reverse ideology, right here. Basically, these red circle shooters can shoot either upwards or downwards, and then their shots will reverse and fall the other way. Gravity is kind of skewed in this area. It looks like it's upside down from here, and it kind of stays that way until you beat the stage, but the basic premise is the shooters will either shoot down or up, and then the shots will go back the opposite direction. And actually quite a condensed format, so they're a little hard to dodge. These blue wisps, if they stay around for too long, will start shooting these yellow beams at you, and these can easily corner you if you are unprepared or too focused at staying at the top of the screen. As well as these guys, blue fairies, which I died too often to because they make this fast sweeping motion and I'm too close to them. But Idiot Joe from the past is Idiot Joe from the past, and this cannot be corrected except with homing amulets. And there's an instance there of me bombing when I'm about to die. So mid-boss non-spell card is extremely easy. It shows you that this is your first instance of seeing these shots. They start off slow, they speed up, and then they slow down again based on what color they are, whether they're brighter or darker. So it's really easy to go weave through the lines here on easy. And then we get to the second non-spell card, where you start dealing with shots from above, and oh crap. It's just like the musical note spell card from the previous boss, except now it's faster paced, but the gaps are easier to see, in a way, because the shots only go in straight lines, for the most part. So it's easy enough, and once you get it, you get a full power-up that you then waste by dying, because when you die you lose half of 1 point of power. But be gracious that the boss gives you a full power-up, because you're gonna need it well, if you die too much on our non-spell cards for whatever reason, you're gonna need it for the boss coming up. Some more of these red circle shooters, they're gonna start coming from below. It should be noted on spell cards where you can't, character types where you can't shoot backwards or below you, that you don't try to be below them when they do that, like right there. Because if you're below them when they do that, there's absolutely no chance you're dodging without bombing. So, you know, don't be stupid, in a word. Thankfully, there's some shots you don't have to worry about and others that you do, but they can kind of blend in with the score point cards. It should be noted that it's completely possible to beat the games here, just by dodging everything and not shooting anything. Well, on easy for sure. On harder difficulties that might not be possible because of how the game works. But you don't ever earn points for waiting it out, because of course if you wait for time to run out you get no time bonus, and just dodging means you're not shooting anything or getting any points, but it's completely possible to just wait out a spell card if you're having a hard time beating the boss on the time limit, and focus on dodging the shots instead of shooting at the boss. But really, you should just be holding on the shoot button anyway, because in this game in particular, there's no reason not to. So I didn't talk about that first non-spell card because it was absolutely no issue, but this hurts me a lot. Basically, your left and right is controlled, keys are reversed, and that can severely throw you off. On easy, this isn't so big of a deal, because the shots are easy enough to dodge just by moving minor directions left or right. But I believe in harder difficulties they spice it up quite a lot as we go into this next non-spell card that I don't need to really talk about. Just dodge in between the lines. And there's still... yeah, okay. As we get into the next spell card though, now we're going into reversed up and down controls. As you may configure, we're going to combine the two in a moment. But again, this can be pretty easily dodged by just figuring it out slowly, as there's lots of these big open areas that you want to hang up towards. But if you do get confused or flustered or panic, you just press that bomb button before you die, and you'll be good to go. Now this could be the most confusing shot because it has the smallest gap we had to fit through yet. But it's simple to slip in between the cracks here. So just slip between the cracks. As we get to the next spell card though, I think this spell card... okay, this spell card's not so bad. These arrows... she starts by shooting out these red arrows, which go up and through the screen, and warp through the screen, from left to right, up and down. And as time passes by, these arrows become faster and faster, making them of course harder and harder to dodge. But there's never too many arrows on the screen on easy, so it can be easy to see, as long as you're toward the center of the screen, these arrows long before they hit you. So it's easy enough not to bomb or die in that spell card. This last spell card combines the other spell cards that, yeah, turn you upside down, so all your dimensions are reversed. However, on easy, there's no additional shots besides these crazy shots here, so there's absolutely nothing to worry about besides this main circular shot. So as long as you're going in a fairly circular motion and keeping track of which direction you're going, there's absolutely no way you can lose here or die here. I bet you on normal there's probably shots included in this mess, so it'll probably be a lot harder. And then the house gets flipped right side up because we beat this boss. It makes perfect sense, I'm sure. Now, I'm not talking a lot about the plot of this because, well, A, it's almost completely irrelevant. There is a story, and it's fairly simplistic nature, but it's not that exciting of a story. I mean, actually, it is a pretty interesting story, but it's not that interesting. You're gonna have to wait like for a few years until Mega Man Omega, or if I even said that channel right, if Mega Man Omega ever comes up with the Touhou videos of Touhou 14, which will be a long ways down the road, but when he or she finally does, you'll be able to see with glorious annotated glory on normal difficulty how to beat these bosses without a person commentating over it. Or someone might do it before me. It's already out there for higher difficulties than normal, because normal is basically the same as easy, except with more bullets. So if you're playing easy, you're basically playing an easier version of normal. So you can basically follow the normal version guide and still be okay, though you can be much more lenient on how you do it. I'm not talking about these green circle shooters, because they're really, really annoying, as well as the wisps that show up suddenly and are easily destroyed. So the green circle shooters either shoot shots that go super fast and slow down, or they shoot shots in a circular motion that can be fairly easily predictable, but when they come in bigger numbers can be harder and harder and harder to dodge. Much like if you don't shoot these blue wisps. Alright, so we're facing the same boss as last time, with the same principle, but this can severely trip you up, like it just did to me there. So it can be really easy not to understand what's going on with that first spell card. Practice makes perfect, because you're gonna have to deal with it again, as you can see here. And as you see, I bombed twice on a non-spell card. Scrub is scrub at Touhou. Thankfully, defeating that boss gives you enough point and power items that you get a 2.0 bonus and get a heart container before the final boss shows up. Yeah, did I mention we're finally at the final boss? God dang. So the final boss, I'd rather not explain it because it's kind of silly. As is the ending, by the way. If I recorded this live, you would have seen the ending, but no, I guess we'll just focus on the boss itself. First non-spell card is the easiest of them all. Because these little balls, spheres, circles are very easy to dodge. They start out fast. The ones that remain after they pass, the fast ones past you, are really slow and easy to dodge. But this first spell card, there's only one gap in these circles. I mean, technically you can go through the gaps towards the edges, but rather you want to go to where these green circles are. And as you approach the green circles, they'll stop for a second, giving you enough time to pass through. Of course, chance doesn't always fortune about you. Chances don't always work like that, but for the most part, you'll be able to slip through no problem. And the green circles do follow you around a lot, and it can become confusing, especially as you get later in the spell card and the shots become faster. But all in all, it's not too hard to get past them. Again, the entire theme here is it's not too hard. I say, even though this was the hardest boss. Oh my god. I mean, it's not as hard as freaking Touhou UFO Anchor. Okay, everyone knows at this point, if you don't know anything about me. One of the first LPs I did, besides Monster Tale, was Touhou UFO 12. I failed immensely at that. Oh, by the way, huge circles, you can go through the white aura, no problem. So dodge as best you can as we go through the best freaking part of the boss song. Da 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 da. Yeah, I did a playthrough of Touhou 12 that actually never finished, and I planned to finish it, but probably not this weekend. Probably not for a long time, actually. So there you go. Dodge the knives. It becomes really hard to dodge when you're over here like this and have nothing but these homing amulets, and I practically just had to bomb there because she just like charged at me. Did I mention this is the first time I'm coming up against this boss, so I'm completely blind against all the spells? So I'm obviously going to die to these blue knives, because the silver knives are easy enough to dodge, because they aim right at you, but the blue ones aren't so much. But there's a pretty big gap, so it's pretty easy to slip through, as you can imagine. Or as you can't imagine, whichever comes first. This non-spell card is one of the easiest ones. Just look for the ball points, which is the head of the lasers, and watch where they go carefully. There's only a few, and they go through the bottom of the screen and don't bounce around, except at the left and right side of the screen. And it's easy enough just to slip through them. You don't have to, except when you accidentally go into the side of the laser. It's easy enough to get through them, easy enough to get through it without dying. In practice, I could get through this without dying, no problem. Probably one of the easiest things. But if you do bomb here, you get a lot more of those score doohickeys, even though you're not going to get much more at this point, besides when you finish your final spell card. This spell card, you cannot attack, and you have to win the spell card by timeout. I don't think the time... When is the time bonus going to go down? God, does the time bonus not go down? Anyways, you're supposed to stay focused to have an easier time dodging these silver bullets while on easy. It's so forgiving that you have absolutely no way of failing even if you don't focus. And I was curious to see if bombing would do anything to the boss. It doesn't, spoiler alert, and you will fail the bonus, of course, if you use a bomb. So you just basically have to wait for around 60 seconds for the spell card to finish. And next spell card, aka non-spell card. Oh wait, I think this is the final spell card. No, it's not the final spell card. So much like the one with the green circles, you get close to these and the blue ones go away and you can slip through, except these ones are more homing and persistent. And as he gets more and more damage, the shots of course become faster and faster, and it takes more than one bomb to get through to the center of bombing this boss Joe. Basically, I think the only reason I want to get this boss is because I just had an infinite amount of bombs, but from this point on I don't die. So, one last final full power up, thank goodness. If you've been dying a lot before, you can refill your power for this last spell card. Now, to my amazement, I get through this entire spell card without bombing or dying. It is infinitely more complex on a higher difficulty. But in this difficulty, at least, you can stay in the center-ish and dodge all these colored circles as they come. The circles tend to go towards your general direction of where you are when they fire at you. Making it easy if you go in a kind of figure 8 pattern, but you don't have to. You can easily dodge by moving around the way in various other ways. Again, it's just one of the easiest things to dodge. If you want to wait it out, you have to wait for a whopping more than 99 seconds for the spell card to finish on its own, so you really should be shooting the entire time. And bam, I got the spell card bonus. How did I get that spell card? Anyways, 13,201,800 for that spell card. This has been Nitro Doggy, signing out. I actually won a game.